Welcome back to this week's episode of the Low Bottom High Rise podcast with me, Moira Casaba. And we are in the Ask Me Anything series, which I am loving because I just love to answer your questions. I want to know what they are. I want to be able to serve you and help you through whatever it is. And I will tell you this, for these episodes, I don't do a ton of preparation, research, digging, because I want it to be a conversation. I want it to be like you're sitting here in my living room, we're having a cup of coffee, and you're like, this is what I want to ask you, and just kind of deliver my answers really from a place of heart. So here's the question for today. I feel very stuck. I feel like I've been searching for my purpose, listening to my intuition, and still can't hear what I'm supposed to be doing. I pray, I get quiet, I meditate, I journal, and I still feel so stuck. Any suggestions? Yes, I have all the suggestions. So here's what we need to understand as I kind of go into this answer. We're efforting too much. So when we are in a state of effort, when we are trying really hard to figure it out and to find our purpose, and there's this negativity attached to that. There's a negative emotional state. And anytime that we are in a negative emotional state, hate to break it to you, you're not going to find it, right? There's an act of letting go. So when we study the law of attraction, we need to understand this really important piece that a lot of people miss. So we want to attract things and we are hoping and praying and putting it out there to the universe, but we are holding on so freaking tight that there's a kind of a tug of war, right? And such a huge part of the law of attraction is allowing, right? Allowing it to kind of come into our life with the work that goes into place, right? We have to take action. The Mercedes is not going to just show up in your driveway. You've got to put the action in, but this is the secret. Be detached from the thing that you are desiring. I know how hard that is when you want it so badly and you're desperate to figure it out or you're desperate to achieve it, right? But we have to cast it out, put it out there into the universe, let the universe, God, know what is on our heart, what is on our intention. And then here's the 2 millimeter shift. Let it go, right? Stop efforting so hard. Get curious, get inquisitive, see what shows up in your life instead of trying to figure it out so much, right? So this is a great analogy that I teach a lot of women because I'm a very visual person. And so think about if you had like a beach ball in the water, right? And you were pushing that beach ball down and say we were in a river and we're pushing that beach ball down and we're trying to figure it out. And we're trying to achieve it and we're trying to attract it. When we allow the beach ball to just like pop up to the surface and then kind of find its flow and go down the river on its own, that's where these things come into our life. Right? That's where we all of a sudden get the light bulb moment that triggers like, this is it. This is where I'm supposed to go. Or if it's an achievement, it starts to just come into your life. You have to detach and you have to do the action, right? The work to make it happen. So yes, I want you to absolutely pray and meditate and journal and spend time kind of figuring it out, but from a stance of being curious, being inquisitive, discovering, right? Being on the lookout and thinking like, what is God going to, show me today? What is God going to put in my life versus sitting kind of by yourself trying to figure it out? That is where your answers are going to come. And I will tell you a quick little story. When this is a powerful example of how the law of attraction really works. So there was a couple years ago where I was pushing for one of the biggest accomplishments in my career. I wanted to become the number one person in my coaching industry out of hundreds of thousands, you guys, hundreds of thousands. I'd been in the top 5, I'd been in the top 10, and I just wanted to kind of check the box and achieve the number one spot. So I was head down, doing the work, really, really, really being intentional with acting as if, showing up as her, right? How does the number one coach show up to work? How does the number one coach drive their car? How does the person who has discovered their purpose go about their daily activities? Like, I'm going to talk about that in a second. But here's the key. I was super intentional about it. I wrote it down every single week. Number one coach, number one coach, number one coach. I didn't think it was going to happen in that calendar year. Like the numbers, everything, the data literally showed me that it wasn't going to happen that year. And I think that was a universe thing, because the universe knew if I thought it was going to happen, I was going to be too attached to it. So I completely let it go. In my mind, I had cast it out there, right? I had written it down 1,000 times. I had visualized it 1,000 times, but I truly, completely let it go, because I just thought, well, I guess it's not going to happen this year. I guess it's going to happen next year. And so I just let it go for that year, but I was still head down, taking the action, doing everything I could to, move my business forward. And then lo and behold, in mid-November, with 6 weeks left of the year, miracles happened that have never happened in the history of my coaching industry. Like the things that transpired on my team, the things that took place, the rising up of leaders, it was completely unprecedented. And truly, anybody that knows my industry and looks at that story is like, I don't even have an answer for that. Like, how did that happen? Nothing in the history of time like that has ever happened, right? 6 weeks. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have been so detached from this, but I still had it in my heart. I was still taking the action. And I became the number one coach that year with effort in my industry, but not holding on so tightly to that goal, right? So that's powerful. The other thing that I'm going to end here with is I really want you to adopt whatever it is you're trying to achieve or figure out. Be it now, right? You can't attract something outside of you. You can't close the gap between where you are and where you want to be until you show up as that person now. Show up as the person that goes about their day because they figured out their purpose. They are calm. They are content. They are joyful. And do you see the picture that I'm painting as well, right? We have to be it to become it. We have to, and something I train business leaders in is like, say that you have a 6-figure income goal. You can't show up to your job and your work like you're making $20,000 a year and ever expect to make 6 figures, right? You have to show up every single day as if you were a 6-figure earner, and then you close the gap on 6 figures. And then we move the bar a little bit higher and we start showing up as a multi-6-figure earner, 7-figure earner, but we can't close the gap until we show up every day as that person. Take the actions that person would take. But here's what I want to make sure that you're getting. There's a positive and there's a negative emotional state, right? Anytime that you are in a even slightly negative state, efforting, trying, kind of playing tug of war with your goals and your visions and trying to figure it out, that's when we're not attracting anything into our life. We have to step into the flow. We have to step into the positivity. We have to step into the excitement of I am earning this much. I am this person. I have achieved it. And this is how I show up in my life because of it. That is when the magic happens. So that's it for today's episode. Thanks, guys, for joining me for this Ask Me Anything, and I'll see you next week.